Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ground Zero Growth. I'm your host, Sam Sapp, owner of Lockbod. I'm joined today with Hiba Rosace of Rosace Enterprises. How are you doing today, Hiba?
Doing fine. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to just chit chat with you and start diving into our podcast here.
I know I'm really excited about it. Actually, the moment I hit record, I got way more excited. I don't know why. We're going. So, the first question I love to ask folks before, and I guess before we go into the first line of questioning, tell me about Rosace Enterprises. What are you doing currently, and kind of give me an idea of structure and size and who all you're working with.
Yeah. So, thank you again for having me. Rosace Enterprises is a boutique marketing firm that caters towards businesses of any size, and we primarily like to work with startups and customers that really need to learn how to connect with their customer base. I always loved a challenge, and I love helping people. So, marketing was my way of kind of marrying my healthcare background with humanities, and I love being able to work through and work with other customers within the area. We are a national company, so we've got customers all over the United States. We have some internationally as well. But the cool thing is our heartbeat of our business is we're very boutique in our mentality. So we give all of our customers that white glove experience. So when I say that, I mean like we truly genuinely care about your business and we want to see it succeed. So we help identify like different campaigns and tactics that can help you connect with your customer base and help become profitable business.
Exciting. So,
Yeah.
for some reason, okay, before we go too much in the questioning, again, the curiosity. So, you say connect with your audience, and all of a sudden, I'm getting flashbacks here. So, 5 years in business at Lockbod, it's really been a development for me. You start with thinking you know exactly what the customer wants and needs, only to kind of progress and learn maybe that's not exactly what they were looking for, and then you try to communicate with them in this way and that doesn't work and this way does. And so can you kind of tell me some of the consulting elements that your firm does, and what does that look like, kind of tailoring the communication piece to where it resonates with the right audience?
Yeah, good question. And just to say, like what we do is we bring business back down to the basics. So the reason why you started your business, we want to know your why. We want to know what problem are you bringing to the market that you're solving. Um, Also, like what are you naturally good at as a business? And being in business for 5+ years, we're also in the same boat. We often think more about our customers than they think of us. And the
Mm,
biggest thing is like we're here to help solve a problem that most business owners have in their organization, and that's the business owner that's running the business wears so many hats, and marketing shouldn't be one of them. Especially if you don't have the background. Sometimes it's easier for someone to come in that isn't living your 24/7 and is able to like see those different pieces that you're missing in your overall marketing puzzle. And that has a huge impact on not only the way that you connect with your customer, why I guess your business or your go-to-market strategy might be falling flat in some areas. It's because at the end of the day, you need someone to help you market your own business. And that's kind of like where we come in. Like I said, we break it down to the basics, so it's easy for any business owner to understand. At the core of your business, you are solving a problem that's, been introduced into the market, and you have a go-to-market strategy that you're trying to help build that solution into, whether it's a product that you've developed or it's a service or process that you have. And our best way is breaking it down and getting that message out there to the right people and the right audience. So your target customer base might be one that you've alienated on accident. So we wanted to just kind of like be able to jump in there from a marketing standpoint and a business consulting standpoint and say, okay, what are you really good at? Let's hone in on that and let's make that connection with your customer. Whether you're selling a car or IT services, you definitely want to make that and you want to bring your service to the community. So understanding your target audience might be something that you need help developing as well.
100%. So now we kind of get into, so what was your first dream? Kind of take me back to the high school era where everybody's telling you, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? You need to have a career and you need to go to college. What college are you going to? Kind of tell me what was going through your mind at that time.
Well, young Hiba was so ambitious, and she still, I mean, I still am. But I grew up in a family where my mother, she immigrated to this country from the Middle East, and her main goals were she wanted a doctor in the family, a lawyer, and an accountant because she was an accountant. So those were the three options when I was growing up, and I was just like, God, I don't think I could be a doctor. An accountant, that's just too dry for me. I think I'm going to go to law. I like, law sounds like a good thing for me. I think that like, I've always loved people and I think that like a lot of lawyers get a negative connotation. They're actually here to help. Most of the ones that I know are lightweight psychiatrists for their customers and for their clients. So I went to school thinking that I was going to eventually go to law school. So I have a background in pre-law international relations with a minor in Arabic. And I really like had a passion for helping people. I wanted to finally be like at the end of the tunnel, I guess the overall goal was to be a malpractice attorney. And at the time, I couldn't figure out how to like pay for law school. My parents, my dad's a pastor and my mother was a former accountant, but my parents had decided to follow Jesus full time.
Mm.
And being raised in that kind of environment, I knew that I had to, it was all on me. I had to rely on myself to be able to figure out my next steps. So there was a really big push for healthcare in the community that I grew up in. I grew up in Youngstown. So the healthcare community was something I knew I could fall back on because if you get a degree in political science, there's really not much you can do besides go to law school. So I thought, okay, why don't I go to school for nursing? It'll give me that background, it'll give me that leg up, and I'd be able to pay for law school eventually. So literally went from finishing one degree to the next, and going into nursing, I realized I love helping people, but I don't think it was the right, modality for me. I realized sick people were really weren't the people that I needed to physically help myself. So that kind of inspired me to like, look at other aspects of not only healthcare and humanities, but try to figure out something else. I've always had that creative part of my brain. If I was allowed to pick my own career as a child, instead of like, having my eyes set on law, I probably would have gone into fashion or something like more creative. And like marketing at the time wasn't really like a developed option or like a sales, centric background, or business in general. Like my mom comes from a family that has a lot of business interest and different things, but she wanted me to find a career, an actual career. She's like, you have a natural ability to sell, but like you need to hone in on something that's actually profitable. So it was that balance and trying to find out like, what made sense for me and my path. And I've been blessed to be able to like kind of carve my own way and figure that out. Um, Whether or not like, I started out what we would consider the traditional way, but I was able to like just kind of like develop that further and figure out what made sense for me and my organization and why I started Rosace and why I wanted to bring this kind of approach to the market and to the community. So I think that like all of my like past trials and like going through the different, I guess, portions of, figuring out my own career led me to where I am now. So if that helps.
Wow. That's exciting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so Youngstown, so Ohio, right? We didn't bring this up originally. So you've basically always been, for the most part, an Ohio native, right?
I was born in Michigan.
Okay.
My family, like I said, were very strong Christians and were what we consider missionaries. And we traveled the world at a young age.
Oh,
So
wow.
I got to like experience different cultures and communities. So started in Michigan where I was born, and then my parents like moved their home church to Pennsylvania. So then my sister was born there. And then we finally made it to Ohio. My father took a teaching position in the Youngstown area, and it was part of their calling to like help minister to the community. So by the time I was 10 years old, I went to Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Romania, Jordan. Um, I'm trying to think, Mexico, Canada, Germany. Like there were several other different countries that my parents had brought us to as children. Um, and I think that like having that global citizenship view, I think definitely impacted the way that I brought my I guess my portion of the melting pot to Youngstown. So like having that, I guess the diverse background definitely helped overcome some of like the I guess the lackluster pieces of Youngstown that could be Youngstown. But yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. There's plenty to dig in there, and I'm excited to talk about this because there's some things I think we can opinions and we can even break there. So tell me about the missionary stuff. So you as a young age, you said before 10, right? Did you hit all those?
Yeah.
That's and ultimately, so have you been to any? What's been your? When was the last time you visited another country as a missionary?
Peru actually when I was 19.
Okay.
So I had a very unique opportunity to um go to Peru. We stayed at a mission home in Miraflores, and it's right outside of the capital city in Lima. We helped um children ages 11 to 17 that were birthing babies. So I was able to help in the hospital in that regard. We went to like do different missionary counseling pieces within the area, and I just got to like meet the people of Peru in like not only like the most I guess the most urban setting, but also we got to go through like the jungle area and like see a little bit of sightseeing, but it was just mainly the mission was to like assist women and children that were in this underprivileged country and bring the word of God to these people and help them understand that like no matter what they're going through, God is still there for them.
How has that expanded your faith? And because you're still a woman of faith, correct? You're still
Correct.
a
Yeah,
Christian. How
that's
how
actually
did
a good way to put it too.
right?
Yeah.
How did that expand your how did that evolve your faith? Like
Yeah.
those events, those
Yeah, so
trips.
um so I can say like I was very like sh I guess sheltered to the point where like I didn't see these kind of like evils or things in my own like backyard. I was a very conservatively brought up child. And then when I saw like all of the hurt and the pain that was like um being done to these females and children on a regular basis in this country, I did question God. I was like, how could you let this happen? But like at the end of the day, we know God's will is perfect, and we're here to like just try to help the people in need that we can. And I did question my faith a lot, but I think it helped me spark my own journey and closer relationship with God. It wasn't just like the Hiba that was like, okay, well, my parents are Christians, so I'm gonna be one too. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, you're a chair, so you go with a table. But like, you know what I mean? It was one of those actual defining like moments in my relationship with God that sparked me to actually like draw closer to the spirit of Christ, and like say, okay, like what can I do to help heal this aspect of my my spirit too, because like it was very like I said, like eye-opening for me. It wasn't going into a third world country and seeing all of this was very, I guess, shocking to me, especially being an American woman, and I define myself as an American person. You know what I mean? Like we have like first
Yeah.
world problems, and then seeing these like third world ones definitely like it shook my core. So I did like kind of like just kind of take a break from the like the relationship I had with my parents and the relationship I had with like that whole I guess mentality, because I was like, how could we just continue on and like just pretend this stuff doesn't exist? So it was just it kind of fueled my like passion for not only learning different languages, but like connecting with people. And I think that like I had a really genuine experience. Yep. So that's
Yeah.
changed my
So
life.
I'm excited. I can tell we're going to get into some fantastic questions sooner rather than
Yeah.
later. So we've all got to strap ourselves in here. So that made you question, um, kind of when did things become strong again? Like
Um,
when did you feel
yeah.
like you were like, was have you ever received any sort of kind of closure on that? I don't know how exactly to ask this, frankly.
Yeah. No, that's actually a good way to ask that. Because it is a tough topic to ask, and like I didn't even know we were going to go into this. But so I did receive closure from this entire experience, and it developed over time. It wasn't like I had this like one epiphany or one moment. It was a series of moments when I think that like I took a lot on on as a young female at the time. I've always wanted to be a mother, and I've always wanted to like have that relationship, but I wanted to like find my partner on my own terms. And coming from my cultural background, my mother like thought, okay, the fix for Hiba's problem with like learning all of this and like experiencing all these ills in the world is to get married.
Hmm.
So, um, she wanted me to like marry her ideal person for me, and I was not comfortable with that. So I wanted to, like I said, I've always wanted to be a mom, and I've always wanted that feeling of, home and creating my own family. And that's been a struggle, like, balancing a career and then balancing the family at the same time. But my moment where I realized that like I needed to like take my relationship with God seriously happened after I had two miscarriages when I had my oldest. So I had my oldest and then I had two miscarriages back to back. And it was kind of like a Hannah moment. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bible and like where she's crying out to God and she's like, "What did I do?" You know? So it was very like personal and it was real, and um it woke me up, and I said like, God, like, I've seen all of this happen. I've seen like these children like have babies that don't even want them, and I just want my babies. So it was like a very like raw experience, and that's the best way I can put it. But God has taught me resilience throughout the tribulation that I had, and throughout like I was not broken, and like I had to like understand like how to get my brain and my body healed to be able to carry my twins. So I felt like it was like almost like poetic justice. I had gone through two miscarriages and then I had twin babies. Like literally like I think like within 10 months afterwards. So it was like God saying it's going to be okay. So and they're 7 years old now. My twins are seven, my oldest is 10, but like, it's been like a brilliant pleasure growing with my family, like I feel like every day they've saved my life and I've been stronger ever since. So your children save you. I think that that's something that like I want to just, express.
Yeah,
No matter how much success I have in the business world or, what have you, my family comes first, and my family has always been my strength.
that's that's fantastic. So, um, thank you for sharing all that. That's a lot, and it's having to hold back tears here a little bit.
All
But
right.
no, no, it's okay. It's this is when we're at our best, in my opinion. Um, so I think you did a good question so you've segued this pretty well with regards to business, because there's a question I want to ask, because there's a misnomer, and I can speak mostly from my own experience. But like when I first kind of had maybe even kind of a similar moment to you're describing, where you came back, your faith was strengthened. Mine was almost a little bit of a big eureka moment. Um, I questioned whether or not I should go become a missionary, whether I should fold up my business and become a missionary, which you talk about things we didn't expect to get into. This isn't something I typically air. But
If you want to
that
describe it, it's
with
fine.
with the way I was brought up, maybe even kind of a similar upbringing, it's like that's what you do following Christ. Now I have had evolution since then, where I realize, I can be a missionary in my own way and feel comfortable in my anyway. But I'm curious, because I think there's some people out there listening, maybe even that were like, oh, why'd she give it up? Why'd she give up being a missionary? And maybe you still are a missionary. Can you kind of talk to, have you done anything like that since? How
Yeah.
have you, um, yeah, how have you evolved that part in your business?
Yeah. So first of all, when we talked about bringing business back to the basics, what do we often ask our, um, I guess our potential customers? What is your mission statement?
Mm,
So at the end of the day, like I am still bringing, whether or not I'm like actively like witnessing, the love of God and like, um, who Jesus is in my life. I'm showing them by my actions. I'm showing them by the way my business practices. But my mission statement is execute with excellence. And I'm here to
mm,
help you execute with excellence and help you bring your business back to like, where it can be to be profitable and to like share your mission statement and your goals with your ideal customer base. So that's how we bring it back. Like we're still able, I mean, humanities and giving back to the community has always been at the forefront of my business. You can ask any of my employees. I do a lot of charity work, even with like the local church and community, but also like I have like pro bono hours that I give to certain customers that like need that kind of attention. And it's not to sacrifice the profits of my business, it's to help grow my community and understand that I'm here for them and I'm not here just to pay taxes. So like I had a longstanding, I guess, residency at one of my previous clients, Metro Toyota. And the ownership understood that I was there to help the community too. So we would have different community events, like we'd feed the like first responders, we'd come bring meals to the first responders. We'd have free photos with Santa or like something for like the community so that they knew that we can make an impact in their lives. Currently, our community has given multiple charities related to cancer societies or different aspects. We've given back. Even when it comes to like the Cleveland Food Bank, we've been a predominant donor for that purpose as well. But like at the end of the day, like my mission is clear. My team understands that even if they have like something they want to bring up or what have you, I'll help and I'll donate too. So like we have like a Giving Tuesday coming up where I want my employees to like pick a charity that they want to give money to and I'll match it. So like that's something that we do as a practice here and it's not about like, it's not about I guess leaving my calling. I've not left my calling. I've only amplified my calling. And I don't think God wants us to be like, necessarily like, the missionary that's broke and like, going from place to place. But I think that like he also wants us to be able to be firm in our faith and establish parts of their community that need help. So I think that like even in your capacity, you are able to minister to people in need. And it's not a bad thing to have a profit associated with what you're doing as a business, but it's a good thing for you to like be an active member of your community and being able to give back. And I think that because I've been blessed, I should bless other people as well. Does that help?
yeah, that does. It's so
Hopefully,
exciting.
like
Well, I
use
think
your vision
I
too.
Yeah, well, I think, I literally, I was reading this morning about Abraham and his story, and it's interesting. I think where the misnomer comes from is we all have the opinion we need to be John the Baptist, right? Going off into the wilderness and eating locusts. But in the reality, there was Abraham too, and there was plenty of other characters in the Bible. And we need both, I think, to some end, for sure. Um, so yeah, that's fantastic. Man, this has been great. There's so much to grab on to. I'm kind of struggling with what the next great question is. So kind of tell me with what are some of the struggles you've experienced in your career?
Oh,
So, I mean, you frankly, Hiba, you're successful, and I love your laser focused, and you do it in a way that's polite as well. You're considerate of others. I kind of want to hear about how did you get there?
yeah. Not easily. I can tell you. Nothing easy is ever worth it, right? But So I've had to take it on the chin several times, and that expression means that like I've literally like, have had an uphill battle. And I think that like the biggest thing is that like the I guess the place that I've ministered the most within my business would have to be a male dominated environment.
I'm
And
glad you brought it up because I was going to ask. I mean, we're still in a world today where somebody said the other day they were at a wealth conference and somebody said, "Oh, you must be the lucky intern." And yeah, so please keep going. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's fine. I actually had a similar experience where I was at a convention, and mind you, I paid my own way there. I was director of marketing for a larger company, and the gentleman had said, "Oh, did Daddy give you that job so that you could come here?" And I've also like had to learn how to control my, my emotional reactions to these kind of situations. But
That's so upsetting. I'm
it,
sorry. I'm just
oh yeah,
gutturally
it was,
mad.
yeah, I know. I got angry too, but like, but that's like the type of individuals that I'm having to come up against or deal with on a regular basis. And I understand like they're operating out of a different like, mindset and environment. And no, my dad's a pastor, so he didn't, he doesn't have anything to do with your secular world. But at the end of the day, like it's the fact that I'm already understanding that the cards are stacked up against me in that regard sometimes. And I think the biggest approach and the thing that like changes the tone is the fact that like I can definitely back up my solutions and services with true data and facts, regardless of the fact that I'm a female. Would you like your business to be profitable? So it's kind of like one of those things like can they get over that fact? And I'm respectful in the fact that I know that their mindset might be a little different, but it's tailoring my approach, and I'm not walking on eggshells. I'm true to who I am, but I'm saying it with grace. And I make sure that like the customers that I align with and work with are ones that like will treat my team well, and like whether or not like my employees are representing me or whatnot, the business itself still holds true to its authenticity and principles. So coming up against that mindset and then having that is definitely like something that's always pushed me just a little bit further, I think. um and I've been blessed to have people that have rose up against that mindset and who maybe had that originally but came to me and said, "I'm sorry," or "Here's how I want to help you because I believe in
Hmm.
you." And that's been the biggest testament to like my success, I think, is that like I've been able to like address that problem. I'm not gonna like shade around it or like, try to like, oh well, I've got, this business partner or this person, you know what I mean? No, my name is Hiba. I'm a female and I own this business and I'm here to help you. And if you can't get over that, oh well, you know. So it's kind of been one of those things, yeah. But
What?
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I want you to keep going, but I'm reminded of Steve Martin said, "Be undeniably good." He was asked what it takes to make it in show business. He said, "Be undeniably good. Make
right,
it to where they can't ignore you."
exactly.
And I love that because you nailed it with it's like, look, this is the track record. Do you want it or not?
Yeah. Like literally, and I think that most of my approach, even in when it comes to sales, is I know that they already want this. I know that they already like need this aspect in their business. Like for marketing, especially like marketing is such a broad term. Digital marketing is even another can of worms that people need to like filter through, because like some people think of SEO or they think of like ad spaces or social media. They think, oh well, she probably does that cutesy stuff on social media. Well, I mean, we have solutions and services that are kind of like that, but that stuff, I'm looking for something that turns a profit for your business. So I'm going to focus on those channels and making sure they fire properly and operate properly. So my strategy and my approach has definitely spoke, way before my face. So it's nice that like I'm able to, bring that to the table. And then, like I said, the other thing that like has come up besides like being pushed into a male dominant world is that there's not a lot of like, there's not a lot of guidance for entrepreneurs in my space. I think a lot of people don't have that business plan nailed down. So there's not really like, a strong blueprint. There's a blueprint for a media firm or there's a blueprint for this, but I'm a consultancy. It's a little bit of a different, field. So carving my own way and my own path in that regard has been a challenge, but it's been interesting. And I also like have a physical location and physical office. So learning that was an entirely different part of my business. That was a challenge, but like it's definitely been an area where I've started to grow and I like that.
Mm.
Something about me is I don't like to be stagnant. I love learning and growing and like I know that that comes with pain, but I'm willing to like weather that or withstand that so that I can grow and that my team can prosper and that we can live on past this. So I think you met me at a point where like it was probably one of the most challenging parts in my business. I at an average monthly basis, our business was making 120 to like $90,000 a month in revenue. And after a few what we call buy sells, means like, the store was bought and sold to a different company, and also like, some different issues within other client businesses. I lost over half that income on a regular basis, and it was a struggle. And it was like something that like it took a lot of mental fortitude and days where like even like, things that like you wouldn't think would happen happened. And I had to like rely back on God and back on my faith to say, okay, like, I'm a resilient person. I know that I can do hard things, but God, this is hard. This is really hard, Like being a business owner is not for the faint of heart and it's not easy. But there are ways that you can rely on different tools and figuring out what those tools are that can help make that day-to-day process easier. So that's pretty much like, like I said, I got hit pretty hard, but I'm starting to build back up and I definitely know that my focus and my vision hasn't changed and my goals for my business are there, and I've set this purpose and I know that I'm going to achieve that purpose and I'm going to grow this business further. But it's like those moments or those pockets, like you sometimes feel like you can't swim out of them, but you get there.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me more about that, because that's a big punch,
If
so
I
to
drink
speak.
coffee real quick.
No, please do. I've been doing the same thing, so don't worry about it at all. So it's that's a big right hook, so to speak, all
Mhm.
at once, like that degree of loss in revenue, right? And
Oh,
then that's the position where big companies are laying off folks. Small entrepreneurs are maybe closing up shop. People that aren't in the business space, that's whatever rock bottom that is, that's this position where maybe they're looking for another job or a decent transition and a pivot. And yet here you are, you kind of doubled down a little bit to some degree. You maintained focus.
yep.
Can you walk me through how? Who were, I mean, you said you leaned on your faith. Was there some people that you leaned on? Just kind of help me through what got you through that
Well, I
when
think
many
it
people might quit?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, there were moments where I mean I like I wanted to. Like I think that like there were moments like out of anything that like when your back is against a wall, you have one choice, either freeze or fight. And I've never been one to freeze. So, like it's like one of those things that like I just naturally have it in me to like I need to protect my I need like, like I'm not the primary breadwinner of my family right now. I was the primary like, I in that position, but like um I needed to grow my company. And I knew that I needed to start relying on like, like finding those tools. Like I told you, like we'll find the tools, we'll figure those pieces out. Am I wearing too many hats to where I can't, be laser focused on those initiatives and those goals? Um, and there's like also like a little bit of like you have to get over being as a business owner, you're either in debt physically, physically, fiscally, physically, mentally, like you like those are the things that you're in debt to your business, like your time, your energy, and your like I guess your physical like fiscal output. So you like the capital you're injecting into your business, and you have to be okay with being in debt for a second there. Like there's healthy debt and there's not healthy debt, but that like that grit and that way that you're able to push yourself through, you need to get over that mental hump. Whatever that mental hump is that you're looking at, you need to address it. You need to address like the monster in the room, I guess. You need to say, okay, here's what happened and be real about it and say, okay, now that I know what this is, I can break it down and I can fix this. And I think that was my point. I mean, like I know why I'm showing up. I know I'm here for my family. I know that I'm here for my employees. I'm here for my clients, and I know why I'm here. So now that I know that I'm why I'm here, then I've got to do what I got to do to make myself survive and figure this out. So like, yeah, there were moments like in doubt and like, that kind of like almost that similar Hannah moment where I was screaming. I'm like, there's people that don't even want their own businesses and I'm trying to struggle for it. You know what I mean? But it was like that similar mindset. I'm like, I can do this and I will do this and I'm going to, be able to like just amplify the next clients or the clients that are there for me. And I still had that core group of clients and like also like a few mentors that like definitely said, Hiba, you've got this. You've got this. You didn't come this far to just come this far. So I think that like I had to address that mental hump. I had to say, okay, well, I need to inject more capital into this here. I need to be like more fiscally responsible and look at like, areas that I can replace myself or my time so that I can just be very um I guess laser focused or like unshakable in this spot so that
Yeah.
I like have
Yeah.
it else
On
solid.
point.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
like focus. It's just like that's I think that's like the best thing to say. It's like, it's hard. It's not easy. And like every day I choose to do this. And that's I think that's something that like a lot of business owners need to like have in their practice. And like I said,
Yeah.
I don't have the I guess the like the pleasure of being able to have another female or another person in my like capacity that's doing this blueprint. But at the end of the day, like I'm relying on, okay, I've seen this part in other business practice, or I've seen this, I've gone back to school for this, or I've looked at different tactics or asked the questions from the right people. I think that's like the biggest thing too. It's like you're asking the right things, but sometimes you're asking them from the wrong people. So figuring out the right people to ask those questions to, or figuring out like those little nuances has
Yeah.
definitely like kept me afloat mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, I mean, that's devastating.
Yeah.
It was devastating. You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy.
No, 100%. Well, and I love just kind of a contrastual thing. You talked about breaking it apart and making it a solvable problem. There was a particular stint where I've been so blessed with my friends. There was a particular stint where things were a little bit bleak for me, and I had a friend with a finance degree, and he gets in and he breaks it all down into a solvable problem. And to him, it's the emotion isn't tied to it. So he's almost like methodical, just boom, 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 done. And it was interesting because I think in some aspects, sometimes that's not what you need. But in that moment for me, that's absolutely what I need because it just brought me out of my emotional, woe is me, it's all going to fall apart into like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
That's solvable. We can do that. That's a solid plan. Wow, you did that in like 5 minutes. To your point exactly too of like asking the right questions of the right people, right? Because there's plenty of friends. I shouldn't say there's plenty. We have friends appropriately that commiserate with us, and we need that sometimes. But then we also have friends that are like not connected emotionally in the same sort of way, and
Right.
those are the ones that are like, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
pull you out of this. No time to
No,
cry. We got to get back to work.
exactly. So like you said, it's just like who you surround yourself and like with and like my friends know that like if they want the person to cry with them, I'm probably not going to be that person. I'm not going to cry. What I tell you to do is like we're going to dust it off and we're going to figure it out so we can,
Yeah, let's
like
get.
yeah, let's get it going. Let's do it. And like I think that that helps because like they're like how like you were talking, you've got friends in your circle that like, I'm here to support you and this is how I'm supporting you. And like that's what they know me for. They know like, what I mean, if they have a problem, I'll help them like, to the best of my abilities. But I also know that I'm setting a good boundary saying that like, sometimes I can't me personally processing the emotional side of that. I have to like I'm like the type of person that I like to unpack that on my own or like maybe with my husband. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that like processing those emotions and feeling how you're feeling and understanding that is one of the most important things that like you can do as a business owner because whether you're leading a team or you're growing your own business or trying to scale it, you need to have that raw authenticity and I guess connection or alignment with your thought process and the way that you are, going after a certain situation. If you don't, it could become like an environment that's not healthy for you or your employees. Because if you're, oh, everything's fine, it's fine. Well, it's not. You know what I mean? Or like, let's hit this, nail on the head and like let's talk about like, how this conversation can change and how it can, help grow your position or your direction. Um, so you don't like build resentment against, team members or you don't build resentment against yourself. So like being clear about your boundaries is really important.
Mm.
You have to be
So I've got a series of questions now I've been thinking through, kind of for, you think of the, because you've been in multiple roles. I'm thinking now of the staff member in another role, maybe listening. Um, do you have a sense for how somebody can know they're in a toxic workforce? I mean, you think about that male-dominated workforce. Um, what are some key indicators that a woman can this isn't for me? Because I think sometimes we fall in the rut of if it's this way here, it's this way everywhere, and I've been here for 10, 15, 20 years, so why would I leave? Do you have some sort of almost like red flags that you look for that when they go up, it's like, oh no, I know, I've been here before?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And it's like it's actually pretty heavy loaded. So yeah, I do qualify my like I guess clients before I take them on. And I have been in several different work environments that have had those kind of like situations where I was very like, uncomfortable. But I think it goes back to like I said, the biggest red flag would be are my values compromised in this situation? Do I feel like it's not going to align with who I am as a person or who I am as a, a believer or, do I feel like my not only my values but my like security and safety. Like I mean like let's be real like I've been in situations where I was having a completely fine conversation with somebody, was talking to somebody, and then someone came up behind me and then just like squished me. And I'm like out of nowhere. And no, I was not comfortable with that. And how I addressed it was like I turned around and I said, "Would you like to be squished, Mr. Tall person?" You know?
Hmm.
And or like, you know what I mean?
I'm even
Like,
trying to think what a squish is, like an attempted
oh yeah, like
hug or like a pick
no,
up or
no,
like
yeah, like
a
almost like I like because I'm 5'3", my husband's 6'5", and I'm used to like just having like conversation with taller males anyways, but like whatever. But I was just in a conversation I didn't, I would never like did not expect someone out of no like you know what I mean like and this is like a
yeah, yeah, like a conference or whatever, the dining, yeah, yeah.
yeah, just
Oh,
squished.
wow.
So,
Okay.
like I mean, but like that's something that you're like red flag. I would not like to be physically like, assaulted.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so like there are different, I mean, like there are different environments, like including that the sales environment can be very like, cutthroat and very like, I guess, aggressive. And also like those type of like maybe of those boundaries that are being crossed are there to like jar people too. So like you have to understand like there are different ways that people like to like I guess toss someone off of their game per se, but like um yeah,
Hmm.
I definitely like would say like that those are does it compromise your values? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Did you get unwanted like physical touch or like unwanted etc. Like those are things that are not don't be complacent. And I'm not saying that like you needed to like, there's not an like a HR situation. It's more along the lines of here's my boundary. I said I was uncomfortable with like, that kind of physical or whatever response. Do not like discontinue that kind of behavior around me. And that's okay to say. And that's something that like, and if they don't hear you and you're strong about that and you haven't just brushed it off, that's something like that you can say too is like, if you're firm about something, don't sway that communication. So if you're firm about like I don't want to be like, squished, touched, randomly, I like always try to make sure that like even like female friends, I'm like I'll be like a there. You know what I mean? Like unless I like
Yeah.
can I have a hug or is it okay for me to hug you? And it's not because like of anything like I guess sexual, it's more along the lines of I just am a person that like does I don't like, I just don't like that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very like, very clear about that. And I'm like, okay, well, I see that, you're uncomfortable right now or etc. Like, it's asking those things and making sure someone's, comfortable with the situation. Something that's uncomfortable too. And it doesn't even have to be like a physical touch thing or what have you. And if you're in a situation and you're a business leader, you're explaining something to a team member and you're trying to get them to like, follow instructions or you're giving them like specific instructions and they are like giving I guess what we consider like pushback, like unhealthy pushback, it's already like, evident. It's okay to say as a business owner or a person in that position, why don't we take this conversation offline? Why don't we have this
Yeah.
conversation in a different setting? Would you like to meet like somewhere where you're more comfortable? Because apparently we're having a miscommunication, and that's fine. That is completely like reasonable to respond in that way. But like, I would say the biggest red flags would be like someone not, addressing common courtesies or boundaries. If you feel like you're in a position where your values are being compromised, or you've addressed a situation and it continues, then it's more than, reasonable for you to, leave or change the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. When I like that you address the get off your game element because it speaks of a world where I think we all assume if we stand up for ourselves, they won't respect us. But in reality, to your point exactly, I think what you were kind of maybe getting at is in some cases, the very fact that you did speak up for yourself is the reason that they will respect you. Um, and I think to that end, then it becomes if there's still, if after that the violation continues the values, then yeah, yeah. And so, wow,
You
there's,
have to
there's,
do it right, and you don't say like complacency kills people. So like
yeah,
that's the other thing. Like, don't be complacent. Like, you have the ability to change your environment. You have the ability to change your outlook. You have the ability to change certain things. And if you need help addressing certain parts of that, EAP, services are there. And there are also like different areas that you can like look at, um, you know, for personal growth. And it's one of those things that has come with time to be able to learn how to address those things with grace and addressing those things with a firm knowledge. It's not like I like naturally learned how to say no. It came over time. Like that's something that
yeah,
like, anyone, male, female, um, or
yeah,
they
yeah,
they need to learn to like be able to like and you don't learn how to like address those things unless you've come to a situation where you've had to like say no or you've had to say this or that. But like if it's something that like definitely like hits those boxes, then you know where your energy should go.
yeah, yeah. Um, how have you managed to deal with burnout
I've been
when
burnt
you
out.
see one coming?
Yeah. So burnout happens several times within a career, especially when you're high driven. Like myself, I've recovered from burnout um quite a few times and I'm actually like on the tail end of recovering from a major burnout. Like I said, like that whole situation where I was backed up against a wall and I'm trying to finally like, see the light at the end of the tunnel here with my own business. Burnout happens, I think, to the individuals that like are high functioning that don't necessarily have the, I guess, the structure or the support that they need to like be able to, voice those delegations or voice those things, I guess, from some sort of support system. And I think that like burnout has happened to me on more than one occasion, because of like, being in a high pressured environment, having personal like goals that like are sometimes, I guess, like not as easily achieved. It's just like, like I would say like I have like really high standards that I put on myself. And um I've had to learn how to exercise grace towards myself in those moments.
Mm,
And I think that's what's healed me and what's healed my burnout is because like I have high anxiety. I have a really high drive. So like when I'm starting to feel those tension pieces, or the moments that like I know that like feel unbearable, I want to be able to stop myself before I'm at full burnout. And that's what I've been able to do currently. And I think that's what's been able to make me pace myself throughout this. And I had to teach myself this. And like I said, it's not something easy that like, oh, you're just burnt out, fix it. No, it's not like that. It's not like a Band-Aid can fix this. It's it's years of understanding, okay, well, that was very unhealthy. So how am I going to reframe my brain and retrain myself not to put myself into that mode where I'm feeling useless at that point, where I'm feeling depleted, where I'm feeling drained? What were the things that led up to how I felt that way? And
mm,
then breaking it down like that because like I think that's been one of the most important parts of like just my overall like journey throughout being a business owner and in my career. I give and I give and I give, but I need to do more of those things that give me that energy back too. So those highlights we were talking about earlier, I think that's what keeps me going and what renews my energy and my strength.
that's so cool. What does burnout look like for you? Because I feel like, for us, I think we've experienced burnout and come back from it, and that's kind of how it makes it a little bit easier to. But I think there's people out there probably that were burnt out a while ago, and they're just in that mode of being. What does it look like for you?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So, the uniqueness behind my position in my situation is no matter how like much I push into this business and whatnot, I still have to come home to a whole family. You know what I mean? Like I'm like I have to be on, and I think that like burnout for me, like, and I can tell you like I've had like points where like at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting here like, what the fuck did I just do to myself? You know what I mean? Like, why am I doing this? But burnout for me is like, I feel like I couldn't even put two words together at one point. I was just like, what happened? Like I feel
Mm,
like my mental output was so pushed to like a whole nother level. My physical output was pushed. And when I say physical, I mean like I'm going home tending to my family, taking care of like dinner, doing homework, then going from game to game. And like when you have three children, they're really active and doing things, it's hard for you to like say no, or like push yourself to like a point where you're just like, you're trying to be there for everything and everyone. And I think that burnout for me was not being able to say no to like my time and like protecting that. So like that's something that like I'm really like working on this year too specifically. My goal is to be I am visible, but I'm limiting my accessibility. I am here and I'm present. And when I'm in those present moments, I'm actually present. I'm here for those moments and I'm enjoying those moments. And like I'm present now and I love just having a conversation with you. I love being here and having that moment to just kind of like, shut off the noise and be and enjoy it. You know what I mean? And like be here. Like I mean, even though this is a hard topic to talk about and this is like a really like, scary subject because burnout's not easy at all or like some people don't even recover, but burnout for me was not being unable to say no to like certain things that took my time. And then also um burnout for me looks like I don't take like I don't take care of my appearance or like or what have you. That's the like one of my tail signs that like I know that there's a problem is when I start sacrificing my own physical like needs for
mm,
those like my family or my children. And
mm.
that's where I'm like that kind of like that's my first sign where I'm like, Hiba, there's a problem, we need to wake up here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that like sometimes when you're used to being a very like productive person, you just look at the like you're looking for the results. You're looking for like here's what I did. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. They're very task oriented. And instead of saying, but those tasks that like, like getting yourself ready or like feeling like you're confident enough to take on this responsibility are just as important. Like taking that moment to go get my hair done or taking that moment to go get my nails done, that looks like a like it's a physical thing that like that I enjoy, but that's my moment for me to restore my body and my strength. um I also like, I think you talked about it, am I an introvert? I don't know if like I'm an introvert specifically. I think that like for most people, like maybe they wake up and their bucket's empty and they fill their bucket with like, their coins or whatever. They fill their bucket throughout the day with the energy that they make. Sometimes I feel like I wake up with my bucket full and then every time I'm like giving away and giving away and giving away. And then at the end of my day, sometimes I'm at an empty bucket. And that's a problem. That's the problem. I want to like find those ways to where like, yeah, I might have given this way, but like what did I get back to like fill my jar or fill my bucket? So
I
I think
like
that
that.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that like the energy and the connection that I put towards people or individuals, I want to like be able to get something back for that too. And that's okay to say that. That's not like, being selfish. That's not being like, I guess like over arrogant or confident. It's saying that like I want to protect my energy, and my energy is something that like I definitely like to keep throughout the day and take home so that I'm present for my family. Does that work?
Yeah, no, this has been great. Well, and I really like to, it really resonated me with when you talked about focus and being present in the moment, because that was something specifically with people. Maybe this is my sign of burnout. The moment I'm in a one-on-one interaction like this, and I'm not capable of being mentally present with you, um, and so in most cases I can kind of like stuff that away or push it to the side, but then it's also kind of a realization for me of, okay, I don't have a smartwatch specifically because it would ding, it would ding, it would ding, it would ding, and it was notification after notification after notification, and I would be in a one-on-one constantly looking at my watch. And so yeah, and and that's not what I want.
Right.
Um, how now? I'm curious because I don't know the answer to this. Feels like it could go either way. Have you ever struggled with imposter syndrome?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Yes, I have, because like we talked about the fact that like in my career and like even like with through nursing or through like sales and whatnot, you in a different environment that you're not used to, you get really nervous that you're not capable of doing something. You're like freaked out. You're like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, I had struggled with that for years. I think like even being a mother, I struggled with that syndrome because like I'm like, um, am I doing the right things? You know what I mean? I think that like you question your capability. So how I recovered from that, and like there are moments like I said that like it's okay to be doubtful, it's okay to like be worried, but what's not okay is for you to question your capability, and it's not okay for you to question who you are as a person. So like what grounded me and what healed me from that perspective was I am capable of doing hard things. I am. I know who I am. I am, and like I list out things that like I'm confident of behind my like of my character behind me, who is me, the essence of me. I'm very self-aware of that and in tune with that. And that came from uncomfortable situations where I had applied unhealthy pressures onto myself, and know that like I didn't exercise grace towards myself. So I felt like I was just, I guess, playing a part. But when I realized that like it's not about playing a part, it's about being authentic and true to yourself, and understanding that I am capable and I am confident. It's not an arrogance, it's a true like, I guess, true feeling of grounding that comes out in your soul and your essence, your spirit, when you realize that you're not playing someone else's role. You are this person, you are Hiba, you are um yourself, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, and like every morning I have like a specific routine that I go through, and it's so that I can protect my energy and my spirit, so that like when I am like feeling like my bucket's starting to get depleted, I'm trying to remember to like, stop or pause and like say, hey, look, it's okay. Let's just,
Mm,
pump the brakes and tone it down. But like,
yeah.
I think that imposter syndrome definitely comes from questioning like who you are, and like not being able to like, um, I guess, understand the capability behind some things. And it's okay to say, like, if you're in a position, and I'm going to talk to like the general audience, if you're in a position, and it's new to you, and you finally got the job, you got accepted for this position, and you're new in this role, and you're seeing other people succeed in other capacities and capabilities, it's it's okay for you to stop and say, hey, look, I need to get training here, or I need to like find some more support here. It's okay to say I need help. And I think that's the hardest thing that people do, because like we're taught, oh, we'll just fake it till you make it. You'll be fine. Just fake it. You'll be fine. But no, it's not about just like faking it. It's about, what am I actually bringing to this role? What are my goals, even in the first 30 days, 90 days, and being true to those goals. And are they actually practical? And if you can't understand the assignment, go back to the person that gave it to you. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And say, hey, look, like, all right, my confidence has been shaken. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I'm new to this role. I do have certain skills that fit this, but I need to develop this further. And if I don't know, if I'm not meeting your expectations, okay, are your expectations reasonable? And if they aren't reasonable and you don't think they're reasonable or practical, then have that conversation. Don't be afraid. So like that's my 2 cents. And it, again, this didn't just come overnight. I had to like I said, I took it on the chin. I like literally was, you know, humbled. I guess I would say, like,
yeah.
being in my space, like, and being a business owner humbles you every day. Being in previous roles in like high functioning organizations that are like, very like, I guess revenue generated spaces where they're solely sales focused, that gives you a lot of like, just overall stress. But not having the tools in place, or not having the support, is just as stressful. But being able
Yeah.
to identify those situations and saying, is this a moment where I need to grow or go? And it's
Mm,
grow or go. So,
I like that. Well, and I really appreciate this because transparently, part of why I was nervous asking is because I'm like, if there's anybody that hasn't suffered from imposter syndrome, it's got to be Hiba. She's just like a laser beam, you know?
yeah, but
Um,
you
and so the
overcome it, you know?
yeah, overcome it. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so we're starting to get towards the end here. And so what I kind of like to do at the end is you can kind of finish up with one. And so what's like one thing you've learned along the way that you think has kind of helped bring you to where you are? And then to finally finish it off, like how can people get in touch with you and engage with Rosace if interested?
Okay. Um, so first thing, what's one thing? Gosh.
I know. Or just if you were to
Okay.
kind of distill what's helped you along the way towards your dream? What are some principles, if you will, that have really helped you in the storms?
Yeah, okay, so like that's really heavy weighted. But I think it boils down to this one thing that like I constantly hear in moments that like I need to reassess things. It's stay in your lane. It's so weird, but like mentally, like stay in your lane. So it helps me figure out my priorities. It helps me identify what is your lane. So your lane is like, where you're optimized, where your practice is, where your focus is. So often I had a mentor that would say to me, he's like, Hiba, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And it wasn't a challenge. It was more along the lines of, protect what you do really well, and hone in on your priorities and align yourself with your lane so that you can carve out something that is for you, but it doesn't have to be, we don't have to use the word easy because nothing is easy. I think it's like more along the lines of your path that resonates with your goal is your lane. So stay in your lane. Like find your lane, stay in your lane and carve that out. That would be my biggest thing that has driven me and pushed me into the right space because mentally like when he first told me that and like when he said that to me, I felt hurt. I was like, what? Like but I'm trying to do this, and this, and I'm like, going out, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to do everything. And that's the problem. You need to find your lane and you need to find that lane and you need to hone in on it. And it's not about things being easy in that lane. It's about that lane is your, aligns with your purpose, your strategy and your goals. So find your lane. So that is what like literally has driven me towards this goal. And I know what, my purpose is and I'm aligned and no matter like, if different, I guess, employees come and go or what have you, it's the environment I'm trying to like, build and I'm trying to grow and I'm focused on my priorities. And I think that's what sees you through. So staying in your lane. That would be like
Mm.
yeah, that's a lane.
That's
And
cool. I kind of like that one. I'm going to tap on it because I like how you flipped it. Like I feel like in most cases, people see that as a negative connotation. Like stay in your lane, man. But you've specifically taken it as a principle for protection and growth.
yes. Yeah. And it's about your mindset. So
Cool.
that's
So how can people get in touch with Hiba?
okay. Well, I do have a team behind me that's very successful, and they are willing and ready to help. So,
Yeah,
yes. So like it's not just Hiba, but you can, depending on like when we meet, I will be more than happy to, be part of that conversation and call and help you start your relationship with Rosace on the right foot. So, you can visit us at rosaceenterprises.com. You can reach out to me specifically. My email address is Hiba, Hiba, at rosaceenterprises.com, Enterprises, because like it gets a little messy with the two E's at the end. And then my phone number is 216-714-3191. That is our office line. You can feel free to text or call. But we'd be more than happy as a team to, have that impactful conversation with you about your business and see where we can grow from here.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me, Hiba.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everybody. Hello, everybody. I wanted to thank you for listening to today's episode. It's such a blessing to be able to interview such fantastic individuals. If you're interested in listening to more, we look to post every Thursday at 10 a.m. You can find us on YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Thanks so much. Have a blessed day.